everyone, and welcome back to the Travel Mug Podcast. This week, we are joined by Geoff from Abeam Travel Design to chat all things Aeroplan and Air Canada status. So, if you're just getting started collecting Aeroplan points and you're wondering what everything is meaning and you're trying to figure out what is Air Canada status, this episode is for you. So, welcome to the show, Geoff.
Thanks for having me.
Sweet. So tell us a little bit about you and your travel company, how you got into travel as a career.
So I've been hooked on travel since I was probably in high school. The first trip that I made out of Canada was to Iceland when I was a wee lad. And since then, I guess the travel bug bit got me, and I started. I think our first trip was probably a cruise or an all-inclusive, and then we got more adventurous as time went on. And fast forward to I am older than 40. So when I turned 40 in 23, my goal was 40 countries by 40. And so I rolled the odometer over on that right in time. But yeah, no, I've always been obsessed with travel. I've been, someone who everybody comes to for advice on how do I build this and how do I get there and how come you're flying in that business class seat and just all these things where people are curious and assuming that I'm not engaging in illegal activities. So
Good of them.
a lot of that comes from my ability to navigate points programs like Aeroplan. But yeah, I had a bit of a career change of sorts. So some changes in my company that I was working for the fall, and then the opportunity presented to me to explore something I always wanted to do. So here I am. I started my own travel business officially on February 1st. And
Congratulations.
yeah, so it's been a lot of fun working with people who are looking to scratch some countries off their own lists and explore other cultures and things like that. So yeah.
I
Amazing.
always think too, yeah, I used to be in travel. It was more corporate travel, so not as fun. But the thing about travel is, if it is leisure travel, is it's one of those businesses where people are generally happy, like people are generally excited. And I know things can go wrong and you have to deal with all of that stuff as well. Like that's sort of part of it too. But I think it's really exciting when you are, making people's dreams come true. So I guess I'd like to understand from your perspective, like what's your personal Aeroplan origin story? Like you mentioned it yourself, like working with points and using points. Like, why did you decide to learn to master it? How did that part come about?
I don't remember how it came about, but I do remember it was I think it was around 2018. There's a 2020 connection here. There always is.
Oh, it's just
All roads point to COVID-19.
like,
But I remember getting like an alert that I had reached, I don't know, 25K, which is very basic. And I think at the time it was likely because I had a credit card and, I'd flown on a few flights and paid for them and stuff. So then I was like, what's this? So of course the dopamine hit of, the little thing you get, the reward. So then, started to actually look at the program. Because prior to that, what I was always doing is, I won't say it's a mistake because obviously people travel and spend within their means, but I was just booking everything on points. So I'd earn points for my credit card and I'd just book flights and my account balance was always pretty low. And then I kind of clued in. I was like, wait a minute. So then I started doing the math, the ADHD brain started calculating. It's like, okay, so I could get higher status if I started paying for flights instead of booking everything on points. So then, yeah, it just kind of, and so next thing I think I was 35K in 2019, which qualified me for status in 2020, which was
such
really great because
amazing.
Yeah.
which was really great for my travels across Marine Atlantic, within the old Atlantic bubble. But
Right.
yeah, no, it was yeah. So 2020 was a bit strange, and then I kept snowballing in the last couple of years, and this year I'm 75K, and it was really just I cracked the code, and then Air Canada changed the Aeroplan program completely as of this January,
Yep.
making it a little bit more difficult, but still doable. You just gotta know all the tricks.
Yeah. So, as a teaser to maybe what's possible, what's the best redemption that you've made with Aeroplan points?
So I feel like the best redemption I made was a really long time ago, so it was very much on the old it
Hmm.
was on the old program. But like we flew to Australia 10 years ago in business class and we had enough points for it. It was I don't remember exactly. I'm gonna say it was like about 100 and maybe 100,000 points each. And round trip to Australia in business class, flying with, Singapore Airlines and
Nice.
yeah, and Asiana. So like that was really cool. You'd never get that now. Well, you can. It's just you gotta know what you're looking for. And I've used some of these priority rewards that I've earned and gotten like last minute flights that would normally be like ridiculous point values for half price. So yeah, I mean those are probably two of my favorite things, but
Not bad choices at all. So for someone maybe brand new to all of these terms, what is the difference between earning Aeroplan points and earning status with Air Canada? Because I don't think that's something everyone probably knows about.
so points get you rewards. So points are, trying to think of the best way to explain it. It's just you basically can amount points and you can use them to buy, flights, or you could use them to buy uh, a DVD, not a DVD player. Oh my God, I'm not that old, I swear.
What
Where
happened
the
in
hell did that come from?
2020?
A DVD player. Well, Grandpa's gonna buy a DVD player
I
out of his points.
I buy a Walkman with my points.
Yeah. If you want a record player, actually, yeah, you could get a record player. That's cool again.
That's
But
back.
you could
Yeah.
you could buy anything. You could buy a blender. You could buy headsets. You could buy gift cards. You could do whatever you want with the points. The status, they used to have it. It was like SQDs and SQCs and SQ everything's,
Yeah.
and they simplified it in a way because basically the old program used to be on how far you flew, and then it was those miles were how many you get towards status. Which was great because if you like, I flew to Dubai last year, the year before, and I flew somewhere else. So the total miles were crazy, but now it goes by the dollars you spend. So they just basically took out, because before you used to have a certain amount of miles and a certain amount of spending and a certain jib in your walk. Like they had a very weird system and it was very hard for people to understand. So they simplified the program essentially, and got rid of all of the SQs and SCs and all those things. And now it's just status qualifying credits. So basically, if you spend $1,000 on a flight, probably 250 we'll say is taxes and fees. So you get 750 SQCs towards your status. So that's kind of how it works.
Okay, yeah, that is
And it's but it's multiplied by 4. I should clarify that. So it's the dollar value multiplied by 4.
Okay.
gosh. Yeah, that's much easier than the miles plus. Like it was super confusing to be like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
and
does this even mean?
and when you take 5 years to figure it out, and you're like, aha, I've mastered it, and it's like, aha, we've changed it.
We
Yeah.
changed
So,
the program.
yes.
Amazing. So tell us about your strategy for specifically Aeroplan points. Like, do you have a strategy around building those up?
Yes. Well, actually, it's both 2 in 1. So
Okay.
I have a credit card with, and I'm not employed by or sponsored
Affiliated
by
with.
any affiliate with any of these companies, but I just happen to be with CIBC. But you can also get with another bank. I'm trying to
I
think
have
who else has it.
TD is the one that
TD,
I
yeah,
have. Yeah.
TD, and American Express. So you
Yeah.
can do, so there's different credit cards. A lot of people will nab the $120 one or the $99 one. There's good value in that, but the higher one, the Visa Infinite Privileges, or the Amex Privilege, I guess a similar one. It's anywhere, depends on the card, between 600 and a little bit higher per year. But if you work out the value of it, for every $5,000 you spend on that card, you actually get 1,000 SQCs. So you could actually earn 25K status without ever getting on an airplane. That's the only card you can do it with, is that one.
Is
So
which
there's
one?
so
The
the
Amex?
is with the higher costing one, the
Oh, I see.
Aeroplan Infinite Privileges one, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But the card also gives you like a ton of other things with Air Canada, free bags, and you get unlimited lounges and things like that. So those are good, but towards status, that's very helpful. So it's kind of a bit of a combination of flying as well as earning from their other partners. So it could be Uber. If you're Ubering a lot of food or Ubering a lot of places, you'll earn some. Starbucks, I think, is one if you're, if you
Yep.
shop there a lot, and Aeroplan web store. Like there's a lot of other ways to earn points, but the credit card is definitely the main one. And I think my strategy is to hitch your wagon to one card and just put everything on it. It doesn't matter if it's a coffee, if it's whatever. I mean, depending on financial advice, I'm not the guy for that. But I would say if you put everything on the card, all your expenses, there's actually another one that I think it's called Chexi, I believe. And we've actually started paying our property taxes with Chexi because it's an Aeroplan promotion. So you basically use your credit card to pay for things that you can't normally pay your credit card for. So in some big cities and You can that allow you to pay rent with a credit card, for example. You could, which is a thing. You can also earn Aeroplan points just from your mortgage or from your rent.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's a really interesting, like, underrated way to earn points is to figure out ways to get things onto the credit card that, like, maybe wouldn't normally go on there and get those points. Because, like, if you're already spending the money, you might as well get the points, you know?
That's how I feel, and that's how I justify a lot of high spending. I'm like, well, I mean, it is expensive, but look how
So
many
that's
points
your
I'm gonna get.
financial plan.
Yeah, exactly. A friend of mine's a financial advisor, and I'm going to be doing some stuff with her. And I don't know if she wants to do a podcast with me or something for her social media, but we were talking about that, and she's like, "We need to like, I want to talk about incorporating travel spending into a budget as part of like a household yearly budget." I'm like, "Let's." I'm not the right guy for
Yeah.
that, but let's go for it. Yeah,
Sure. Sure.
yeah,
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. I think it can be both. You can, if you're already spending money on travel, hope, in theory, in a perfect world, you should already have the money to pay the credit card off. However, that's
Yes.
yes.
not always how people work, but that is the ideal world for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add to that question, because it's actually really a key part of it, because before, if you flew 1,000 miles, you got 1,000 points. It was pretty straightforward that way. So, there's people who never will earn status and probably don't fly Air Canada a ton, but maybe that one time they look at their balance and there's like 6,000 points. What am I going to do with that? But the way it works now is once you have status, whatever the cost of the fare was, so say it's again, we'll use the $1,000 ticket. So 1,000 points if that was the fare. But if you have 25K status, you get 2,000. So it's doubled. And if it's
Mm.
3 times for 35K, it's 4 times for 50K, 5 times for 75, and then 6 times for super lead. So your points, it's like the rich is getting richer. Like the
Yeah.
higher status you have, the more points you will have. So the more you
Right.
fly, the more you get. Yeah.
That makes
Interesting.
sense.
Yeah, I think that
Mm.
that was really interesting. And so, like, part of your strategy could be making sure that you fly Air Canada if possible, in order to like build up your status, which will then build your points.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also like fare matters. So
Mhm.
flying, a lot of people will choose the cheapest fare. And in selling travel, I've seen that a lot, and I discourage people from doing it for many reasons. Because there's even a pop-up warning that says, "Are you sure you want this fare? Like we own your like literally we own your soul if you choose this fare." And people are like, "Yes, it's cheap," but
My
what
soul
the
is very cheap.
yeah, exactly. So if you're looking at a flight from Halifax to Vancouver and it's going to cost, $300 on basic, which is like again the one where they own your soul, or you could go up to the standard fare. Both give you no refunds, no changes, and if there is changes on standard, it's expensive. But Flex would give you like, the complimentary changes, free seat selection, which, probably $50 or more a bag, but you collect SQCs and you also collect points. If you go with the other ones, you don't, or you will collect less on standard, nothing on basic. So it's it's going with Flex makes it that's the first one that you'll start earning the full 4 points per dollar.
Money to earn money, as they say. Are there other underrated ways to earn points that people might overlook that you've not mentioned?
I think those are probably the main ones, really. One thing that a lot of people don't realize in terms of maximizing the way you can use your points is a good tip. I feel like nobody knows about this, but you can do family pooling. So, for example, if like I have one client and the mom and dad travel a lot for work, like one of them has super elite status and the other's 50 or 75K. So they're doing a lot of traveling and they have two kids who travel with them, and the kids are earning all these points as well. So if you go on a family trip for four of you are going to Florida for whatever, and you earn 2,000 points, and your husband earns 2,000 points, and your kids each, so that's 8,000 points, which well, two you can't put them
Yeah.
together. But if you're on a family pooling plan, your balance is 8,000. So like
Nice.
it makes sense to yeah, it's a strange new form of child labor. It's like I just need you for your points. But
And get
it
me
is
the
a good way
remote
though for
control.
Yeah.
like my partner and I do that. Like we have one balance, and it makes it great because then we can book flights on the same itinerary and the same booking reference number and things like that.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, that makes sense. Well, Megan, there's a downside for not having kids.
That's
They're
right.
not racking up the points, but we also don't have
It's one of the few, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Um, so on the flip side, what do you look for when you're redeeming Aeroplan points? I know that they have like dynamic point pricing now. So do you have any strategies for redemptions?
It's a tricky one. There's no real, I wouldn't say there's a real science to it in some ways. Sometimes if you're booking really far in advance, you'll get a decent price because they'll just price flights really far out at I guess what they estimate will be the going rate for flights into the future. Um, and then sometimes last minute. Now, not everyone can go last minute, but if you are someone who's flexible in terms of like looking for a vacation, because a lot of times I'm looking if I'm going to redeem my points for flights, sometimes I'm very flexible and I'll just have a bunch of destinations in mind and I'll just plug it in to see which ones will work.
Mhm.
And I do that for buying the tickets as well. So like that's a good plan. Yeah, so I mean that's probably how I would suggest people try to maximize it. If you are booking um, on points, sometimes depending on what you want to get out of your reward, like if you want the ability to change things, sometimes it is worth going with a higher reward and the latitude fare, that could be a whole other show. There's what I don't know if you guys have ever heard the term latitude attitude, but there's very much a whole thing about redeeming in latitude or purchasing in latitude in terms of getting free upgrades to business class. So there's there's a lot of ways to do it, but I mean again, I think flexibility is probably the number one thing and being a bit creative or open to things and stopovers. No one wants to stop in 30 cities to get somewhere, but when I went to Australia to get that 100,000 reward for business class, we went through New York City.
Right.
And we didn't fly Air Canada because oftentimes points on a redemption with Air Canada, especially the international flights, are more expensive than their partners. I don't really know why, but you could probably fly like Halifax to there's a couple of European flights, not with Air Canada, but with one of their partners. Lufthansa has one of their operators to Germany,
Mhm.
but you might get a flight with them for cheaper than you'd actually get with Air Canada. And strangely enough, I was looking at flights recently. It was St. John's, where I am, to the Bahamas, and there's a direct flight out of Halifax, and I could fly for 18,000 points each way to the Bahamas from St. John's.
Nice.
And I was trying to get friends to join us, and it was 35,000 to go from Halifax, and it was the direct flight from Halifax, and
What?
I had to connect with PAL. Yeah, it made no sense. So
So
Oh,
so frustrating, isn't it?
my goodness, that
yeah,
makes zero sense.
I
Man.
know I was trying to get. Then I said to my friend, I was like, well, "You need to fly to St. John's and just start from here."
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thanks,
That's
No,
airlines.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know when a redemption's not worth it?
I do the math on it. I think that it depends on when you're buying them, but I look sometimes at how much it would cost to buy points. Usually off the top of my head, and I could be wrong, and your listeners are gonna be like, "He totally wrong." I think it's like 3 cents a mile, roughly. So I will work out what it would cost if a flight is going to be 25,000 points. I will look to see, well, what is 20, do the backtrack, and it almost in most cases, it almost is exactly the same price if you bought the ticket,
Right.
like in terms of the value. But when you see something that seems really high, I just say, no, I'm just going to buy like for me, I will use a redemption only for like St. John's to Halifax because it's such an inexpensive flight. I wouldn't earn anything anyway. But if I was flying somewhere further, I would use points. And in the old system, it was about miles, so I would never redeem miles for flights that were overseas.
So let's talk about let's break down Air Canada's status. So you mentioned, I think, different tiers of the status. So what are they? Like, what does it mean?
So they go 25, 35, 50, 75, and super elite. So 25 and 35 are kind of the first two, pillars. 25 is fairly common. It's easy to get with a credit card. If you do a little bit of work travel, but not a ton, you probably just end up getting that anyway. So you need 25,000 SQCs. So if you were to do the backwards math on that, you would need to spend with Air Canada. I'm using my trusty abacus because, of course, I only think of DVD players.
Yes.
Correct.
So 25,000 divided by 4, it would mean you spent 62.50 on the fares for the year.
Mm.
But you can combine it. So maybe you spent 4,000 on fares and some was from credit card stuff. So like 25 is actually pretty easy to get. You do get your 2 free check bags, which is great. you get 5E upgrades, which you can use, and you get priority lines at the airport and for check-in, zone 2, like those kinds of things. Same with 35. You do get lounge passes with 35. You get, I believe it's 2 to use. But the real magic, I think, is when you hit 50. 50, 75, and Super Elite's in its own category, but 50 and 75 give you Star Alliance gold. So basically,
Mm.
you like at 50K, you get unlimited Maple Leaf Lounge. And I mean, I love that. I think it's the best perk of status. And especially in Halifax when the new lounge opens, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
But you get to use a gold lounge anywhere in the world. So like we went lounge hopping at Frankfurt a few months ago, and which was crazy because we went to the first class lounge because the first class lounge is open to first class passengers or people with gold status. But if you were a business class passenger, even on Air Canada, you don't get to go into the first class lounge. So I was flying on a Latitude ticket. It was upgraded, but I was flying a Latitude ticket, and I got in because I had 75K, and people were being turned away who were business class. So it is a huge perk. Basically, you can hundreds of lounges around the world to use, and you can come in and out of them, which is really cool. You also get a rival perk. So if you're traveling for work, for example, and you want to grab a quick coffee or grab a quick breakfast before you leave the airport, if you have 50K or higher, you can go into the lounge on arrival, which you can't do on any other. Yeah, it's a gold status perk, and I've used that at Pearson a ton. Think of traveling to Toronto for work. You could actually go to that lounge and grab a shower and get breakfast and change, and then go to your meetings, and it's all just part of being gold status.
Sounds to
So
me like
that's
you've got latitude attitude, if I could say, Jeff.
I listen. I will tell you if you've ever used the showers at the Maple Leaf Lounge in Toronto Pearson, you know what I'm talking about because they're amazing.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, it's really bougie. Um,
I wouldn't have
but yeah,
thought
and then
that.
I know, no, the ones in the Air Canada Lounge are really nice. They're like a 5-star hotel kind of
I was
shower.
in there like
Like you,
not like maybe a year ago. I should have showered.
yeah, you just ask at the front and they'll give you a key and set you up.
That's dope.
And then so 50K is like 50 and 75 both have some different perks. Basically, the higher you go, the higher you are in line, or for quick access for things, for the call centers, for rebooking, all those things. So the higher you can get, the better. But uh, the one of the things that's different with 75 is you get these priority rewards. So in all the tiers, you earn priority rewards based on how many points you earn, and they basically give you 50% off a point redemption. So if you're booking a flight that's 100,000 points from Halifax to Vancouver, you have a priority award, it's only 50. So that's
Wow.
great. But when you go higher up, it lets you so 50 lets you use for an economy anywhere in North America. But once you hit 75, you can use up to premium economy anywhere in the world.
Wow.
So I have 2 priority rewards. So if I wanted to book a ticket to Australia and it was 500,000 points each, I could get both for 500,000
100,000
with
points.
those rewards. And that's
Mm.
premium. And you'd probably get upgraded to business class because a premium economy ticket is the first to get upgraded. So yeah, so it's kind of like these little ins and outs. But I think for the people listening, if you're gonna aim for anything, I mean, aim as high as you can, but like you don't need to go on a mileage run or a spending spree just to get to 75. If you hit 50, I think you're fine.
Mhm.
Super lead is not really something that's easy to just
Yeah,
wake up and
waltz
say I'm going to be
into.
super. Yeah, it used to be I'll say a little easier, but they changed it because really, if you think about it, if my company sends me to Tokyo 5 times a year, I could probably be super elite just because of how many miles that is. But the cost of how much money that maybe that Air Canada made for me wouldn't be as much as it would be from the business traveler who goes Toronto, Montreal, Halifax to Washington like 50 times a month for work. And because it's not miles, they're never earning enough miles because they're not going very far. But the cost of those tickets are adding up, and they're spending more than some people who are going long haul. So Super Elite is it's one of those like secret societies. If anyone's listening, is like, what the heck is that? It's like we're not really allowed to tell you. It's Fight Club rules, but essentially, it's the top 1% of all travelers They have concierge. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but like if you're super elite, as soon as you book a ticket, then the concierge team is aware that you're flying somewhere, and then they track it and they'll proactively reach out to you if there's incoming weather. They're like the doers of anything. You can
We would
it,
not know this, Geoff. No.
Yeah.
no, like they are like you will get like if you don't have to call into anybody, you just email or call like a concierge line, and someone who's assigned to you who just deals with stuff. It's a whole other level.
Nice.
And even if you think about business class, like at the lineup in Halifax, there's a business class line, but there's a super elite. So there's people who are traveling in super elite. They're not even in business class. They get to go ahead of business class. It's because they do get some extra perks. They also get zone one forever when they're flying. So,
They do.
yeah, yep,
Nice. Well,
Well,
good for them.
That's how the 1%
Good for
lives.
them.
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
not
The other
the
1%.
other one.
So happy for them.
Yeah.
Not it's not going to be us, I think.
But you know what's funny though is the people I've talked to. I have a couple of clients who are super elite, and I've said to them, I'm like, "Oh, you're super elite," and the response I get from them is like, "You can have it because I have super elite because of how much traveling I have to do for
Yeah.
work." Like in
Mhm.
most cases, like a friend of mine was in Germany like for 2 days this week for a conference, and like he didn't want to go across the world for 2 days. I mean, but he does it because he's like, yes, points,
Yeah.
also
Right.
work, but like it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see that.
It's they're not traveling just for fun at that
No,
point. We're usually
I mean, it still sounds fun
yeah,
to me,
I
but
know.
yeah,
I would deal, but yeah, I get it.
woe is me.
Yeah. Exactly. Are there other really like valuable benefits of having status that we haven't chatted about already?
Honestly, I think the lounge is the best.
Yeah.
I the lounge is my one of my favorite parts of traveling, to be honest. It really is. The e-upgrade system, if you've mastered that, which is its own master class, to be able to like, you know, in terms of not a redemption, but in how I've navigated this. So I had a companion pass. So part of the credit card that the infinite privileges one, it gives you an annual companion pass. So, $99 to get your second person can go on the same flight you're going on within Canada, US, and then I think it's $2.99 for like Hawaii, Sun, those places, and then $4.99 for Europe, and beyond. So I booked a flight to Dubai. I paid I'm gonna say $4,800 for one in economy, but I booked latitude. And people I've told this to were like, "You're insane," because like you could probably do that for $2,100. I said, "Yes, both of us could go for 2,200 bucks each. Would have cost about $4,500. But I booked one in latitude, which cost the price of the two. The second one got to go for minimal. We both were on a latitude fare at that point. We both at the time, because it was a couple year before last, got I think that redemption just earning alone, we got 50,000 Aeroplan points for that flight for two of us round trip. And because we booked on Latitude, we used 10 e-upgrade credits and got business class. So we had pods the whole way to Dubai and back, and the ticket cost for that was $14,000 per person. So I think we did okay with it. And I think that
Wow.
that's the way you can kind of get smart with using it. Because I've had friends will buy me a beer and be like, "Okay, we have questions about points. How do we
Talk
get
to us,
status?"
Geoff.
It's like you were in a bed flying across the world. How do I do that? I'm like, well, again, I'm not doing anything illegal. I just have mastered. I've
Yeah.
nerded out a bit, and that's definitely the thing. The lounges again, lounge, lounge, lounge. Just the piece of getting away from the
Yes.
insanity and
Mhm.
like just
It's
weirdos
beautiful.
running around an airport. It's worth its weight in gold. Um, when you call in, like, so if you're just one of those people that's stuck because weather and things like that, and you call in, it's like the current hold time is 5 years and 32 minutes.
Yeah. It's
When you do call in, the calls are sorted by priority, so it's not necessary. It's sorted by when you call in, but then I think it's actually sorted really by priority when you call in.
Mhm.
So if you have no status and just call in, you might be waiting a lot longer. And for those people listening who are like, this is horrible and this sounds crazy, it's not though, because people who are flying more are spending a lot more,
Mhm.
and it's not about being. I mean, it is a privilege, but it's not a privilege you get because of who you are.
For
You get it
nothing.
because you're spending a lot more,
Yeah.
and it's basically it's an airline's or a business's way of kind of thanking people for their, their business.
Patronage.
So you will get it through. Like I've called in before with my friend next to me trying to get a hold of something, and I literally like, let me just call in, and I
Well,
punch in my number, and it's like, thank you for being seven, and then it's just like literally hello. So that's
I'm
huge. Plus
calling
the lineup.
Jeff next time that happens to me. Let me
Also,
friend Jeff.
also, and Zone 2, like Zone 2 is also absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Apparently there are other zones beyond that. I've never been in one, but apparently
Oh,
there are.
Jeff. I
It's
mean,
rough
That's
out there.
it is rough out there. I think I was zone 5 last time I flew. That was
Yeah,
like,
there's the 22-minute skit of
oh,
like now boarding Zone 10.
yeah, you're like, am I ever gonna
That's
get on this
would
plane? They're just gonna
would
put me
know
on
what it.
the top and fly away with me up there is how it felt that time.
That is
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, amazing. So maybe can you give our listeners one like homework item that they can do to start earning or learning more about Aeroplan and Air Canada status?
Look at the credit card you currently have, and just because you're loyal to the bank you have, like maybe the card's not getting you anything. So maybe you have a free card, but you're getting nothing back out of it, right? So maybe look at that's the first thing is just size it up. You can go with an Aeroplan credit card with one of the banks for, I don't know, 100 or 120 or whatever the case is. So maybe look at those and see. And for people who will immediately snub this and say, I'm not paying anything for a credit. Well, for $50 a month if you travel enough. I get free bags on every single flight I'm on. I earn points for everything. So I get free flights. I get unlimited Maple Leaf Lounge, which is, $50 a visit. So it kind of pays for itself, even with the 99 or the 120 or whatever costing card it is. If you and your partner say fly round trip somewhere, that's $200 in bags. So the card just paid for itself. So if you
Right.
take 2 trips a year, that's $400. Like it's one of those things where I almost don't want people to figure it out because I feel like the more people figure it out, the price is going to go up. But get the friggin' card. It's like it's
Yeah.
really good. So that's number one is see what you're actually getting from it, and if you're not, then like do some research. Look at the cards that give you something, and not ones that like I know people have ones that they say, especially in Newfoundland, is that people are like, oh well, my card lets me fly on any airline. I'm like, and what airlines are you flying on? It's really Air Canada out of Newfoundland. So especially on the East Coast, I mean, we do have options, but Air Canada is probably the largest network, I think, and I'm not employed by Air Canada. I wish I was, but I'm very loyal to them. I think I always say they're the most like of all. There's some airlines who are really good and some who are really good. Is like they're the most averagely mediocre. Like they're perfect. I have no complaints. So
Right.
I really enjoy, and I do like Air Canada. But so that's the homework. The tip that they have to take from this, if nothing else, besides booking travel with me, which would be great, is book flex. Stop looking at like don't like if flight's $602 versus $709, it's like, oh, I gotta go. Like, no, like, what do you get for it? Like, literally, I've had people book a standard ticket and come to me and like, I gotta pay for bags and seat selections. Like, yeah, and now you're paying more than you would if you went with Flex.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
definitely have to do that math. And on the credit card thing, I think that a lot of people don't realize that they can apply for a credit card with a bank that they're not already banking
yeah,
with. So obviously, once you get a card, you like create an account. But I have a credit card with a bank that like the only thing I have with them is that credit card. And so I just pay it from my main bank account that I use every day and just do it as a bill payment to that credit card. So we're not asking you to go open up a whole new like banking account system at another bank. You can just apply for a credit card there and just use that
yep.
product. Yeah.
And there's actually another thing with Aeroplan points. The old rules were, unless they've changed them, but it's if there's no activity, I think it's like 12 or 14 months or 12 or 24, you lose your balance.
Right.
So there's people who log in, it's like, oh, I used to have points. It's like literally all you have to do is earn or spend points. So gas stations, if you have one of these cards now, I think it's Ultramar,
Yeah, I think
gives
so.
you
Yep.
with the journey rewards,
Yep.
you save 3 to 10 cents depending per liter just by using your CIBC card, and you're earning Aeroplan points. So it's like, yeah,
Yep. Yep.
And gas be expensive these days. So you're gonna
It
get
do
some
be
It do be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, do they? Indeed, indeed. Well, since you mentioned booking travel with you, where can our listeners find you online and learn more about what you do with the Beam Travel?
Well, you can follow me on social media at Abeam Travel. And we didn't actually talk about what Abeam meant. You didn't
Yeah.
ask
Oh,
me.
Gosh,
all
well,
right.
now's the
You
time.
skipped the
Now, oh, you
question.
did.
And I'm going to tell you in a way that everyone is going to remember my handle because it's not a bean, it's a beam, like a beam of
Mm.
light.
Mhm.
Mm.
But a beam is an aviation term and it means alongside. So in air traffic nerd terms, if it's like a plane is going abeam its route, it means it's alongside of the route that it's supposed to be. And they use it in marine as well. So a boat is a beam of another. So it was something that I thought was really cool because I was racking my head around what to call this business that was
Mm.
unique and different. And the idea came to me because I was like, well, I want to be alongside of people for their journey, but like not literally
Mhm.
unless they want to pay for me to come with them.
Sure.
That would be fun. But so a beam, so yeah, so it's a beam travel. So
I like that.
ABEAM travel. And I'm on Instagram and you can look at some ridiculous reels of me being being a character. And I'm also on Facebook. And you can also visit my website, which is Abeam with an M, traveldesign.ca.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know that our listeners are going to find this very useful. I certainly did. So thank you so much. We
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. Yeah. And as always, you can find the Travel Mug podcast on social media as well. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at Travel Mug Podcast, our website, travelmugpodcast.com. You can leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. Buy us a coffee. I mean, we're thirsty, needing of caffeine girls. So you can do that through a link in our show notes. And until next time, bye everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Jeff.